This is Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Hour 2 of Money Moves live on VSiN, the sports betting network, Sirius XM channel 158. I'm Stormy Buonantony. The man bopping his head over there on the East Coast is Keith Irizarry. That music does get us moving, doesn't it? It's some good stuff.
It does, yeah. It's got a good energy to it. It allows me to provide some aura and blah blah blah. Something.
Show your true riz to the camera, all of that.
It's true. I like to bop my head 6-7 times.
I hate you. To peel back the curtain there, Keith has,
she said she hates me.
Keith has some young children, and I have a young sister that, boy, the slang that these children use just blows my mind. We will be grown-ups, Keith. At least we'll try. I don't know if we can actually succeed in that, but we will try over the course of the next hour. Provide some winning bets for the folks at home. Coming up in 15 minutes, VSiN's own Mike Palm, also, of course, VP of Operations here at Circa Resort and Casino, where I'm broadcasting from. He's going to join us on the desk, talk through a load of different stuff that's going on at the books. Of course, we got the women's Final Four coming up tonight, men's Final Four tomorrow, full weekend of great NHL, NBA, Major League Baseball upon us. And let's actually start with the baseball because we have a game that is about to get underway in about 10 minutes or so. White Sox and Tigers, first pitch from Comerica Park out there. I mentioned this earlier and you didn't give me anything, Keith, so I need something from you here. The White Sox tied for the division lead right now. Come on, they're off to a hot start.
Yeah, they've lost 2 games in a row, and they're 2-4. Now, I mean, listen, they played well for the first couple of games. Cool. They're not a dumpster fire anymore. Let's word it that way. And I know a lot of people use that word, that phrase, whatever you want to call it. I think it's one word. I think dumpster fire is one word, not 2 words, whatever. They're not a dumpster fire anymore. I think they're moving in the right direction. They're still going to lose a lot of games. I was actually trying to pull it up really quickly on my phone. I think the first 5 is going to be the play in this one because I think Flaherty is going to pitch very well. Do you have it? There it is, first 5. Tigers minus 245 on the first 5. No, let's look at the run line. There you go. So take the Tigers first 5 money run line at plus 116 would probably be the best play. Let's look at the first 5 total runs over 3.5 minus 128. No, thank you. So if I was going to make a play in this game, I'll go first 5. I'll back Flaherty on this one, and I'll just assume that the Tigers could get 2 runs in this one, be up, 2-0, 3-1 after 5, walk away. That's my win.
Of course, I say it kind of tongue-in-cheek because it's just been a slow start for the division as a whole. But, it is hilarious to think, though, man, Sox win the series, then, they're in the division lead right now in the AL Central. But it's, Flaherty, good year last season, 3.17 ERA in 28 starts after he was traded to the Tigers, 2.95 ERA after that. Faced his former teams in the Dodgers to start out the year, pitched 5 scoreless innings. He did give up that 2-run shot late to Freddie Freeman, who, by the way, apparently is dealing with a serious ankle right now. He's going to miss that whole series with the Phillies after falling in the shower. Yeah.
All right. So can we talk about, all right. So I'm not a very fearful person, right? I've jumped out of a plane. I've flown a plane. I love death defying things, Stormy. I'm all about it. Obviously, as I'm getting older and now with children, you don't do those things as often anymore because you realize things don't go the way they should. You don't want your children to be without you, right? Slipping in the shower is a fear. Have you ever been in the shower and kind of lost your step for a second, just a little slip and been geez, how much would that have sucked if I fell and this is how my family finds me? Yes, that is a horrible thought, but that has been in my head a few times. And when I saw this Freddie Freeman thing, I'm I'm shocked more people don't get injured showering, not die, just injured showering.
You're he's a professional athlete. If he can do it, it can definitely happen to me. And I will say, obviously, I am still alive and I'm present with you, but that has happened to me. And I have hurt myself pretty, gotten a pretty good gash, actually, from slipping in the shower. So not a good time. And hate for him. He obviously injured that ankle last year, had to have it surgically repaired. So you don't want that to be the way as a professional athlete that you injure yourself, right? You expect if it's going to happen, it's from really exerting yourself on the baseball field or doing something in practice or in a game, not in the shower. But I feel for him.
Well, all right. So how about we just talk about like weird injuries? Who was it? I think it was Victor Zambrano. I want to say. Remember when he got traded? I want to say from the Tigers to the Mets, and he ended up like developing carpal tunnel because he was playing Guitar Hero too much.
Yeah.
Those are the weird injuries.
I'm bad at Guitar Hero, but boy, did I love that game. Like 8th grade, freshman year, Stormy was just like getting it going, slapping the bass, and Guitar Hero. I was only on medium, but I felt confident. What can I say? Okay, let's get back to White Sox Tigers, though, if we can, because you like the first 5 run line. I will say here, like, Tigers are a big favorite, -265 on the money line. They're -120 run line favorite for the game. It feels very much so like that's the way. Low total game at 7. But again, we mentioned this earlier. You can see why, at least based on like the starting pitching here and the White Sox bats just in general. So that's at least the lay of the land for what you have for this game that is about to get underway. Last half of this segment, let's go back to the Final Four, because Keith, I haven't worked with you since this field has been set, and I'm very curious your opinion on it. And clearly you've done pretty well with the tournament, considering you are locked in to either win or come in second place in your March Madness bracket challenge. Tell us more.
Okay, so this is cool. So I've been in this bracket since I've been in, so we're talking like 20 years, right? And one of my buddies who's in the industry, he started it, and it has really grown over the years from just like 30 people to, I want to say it's like close to 200 people right now. And I finished in second 3 times. I finished in the top 10 basically every single year. Like, I'm good at this, but I've never been great at this. So no matter what happens on Saturday night, I am locked into either first or second place. I have 3 ways to win, and I have 5 ways to finish in second place. Let me just pull this up for you really quickly. I had it, and now there it is. So the ways that I can finish in first place: Auburn beats Duke in the championship, I get first place. Duke beats Auburn, I get first place. So by the way, all I'm rooting for is Auburn versus Duke in the championship, and I guarantee that I get first place no matter what. Now, if Duke beats Florida, I get first place. Every other scenario that happens, I finish in second place.
Hey, that's a good position to be in, my friend. And while I know you're obviously rooting for the scenarios that get you first, when you look at these games in the Final Four, what does your head actually tell you? Like, how do you see these games transpiring? We've got Florida, a 2.5-point favorite against Auburn, total 159.5. Houston getting 5.5, a big spread for this Houston team, but we know obviously what Duke has done in this tournament and all season long. 5.5, again, that number, 136.5, your total.
What's cool is, so I don't think Auburn's going to beat Florida, but what I do think is I think Duke's going to win. I think Florida's going to win, and I do think Duke is ultimately going to win the championship. So I do think I'll win my bracket. Now let's talk about from a betting standpoint. Florida, you've seen the number move a little bit. I like Florida to win this game and to cover. Now I understand that none of their games during this run have really been easy. They've battled back. They probably should have lost in the Elite 8, but they have 5 wins against top 20 KenPom teams by 14 or more through the month of March. That's a good number there. As for Auburn, we do wonder, I know Janai Broom says he's 100%. You wonder if he really is. And then Chad Baker-Mazara. I think he's the X factor for Auburn. He's gotten himself into foul trouble. He's gotten like removed from games and stuff like that. If he plays well, that's how this game stays close. Ultimately, I'm going to go with the team that I think is the better team and has the better future stars. I mean, Walter Clinton Jr., this kid looks like he is going to be a lottery pick. He looks like he's a mix of Donovan Mitchell meets Steph Curry. I'll take Florida to win this game. I know you have a player prop in this game that you're going to give later. Are we allowed to allude to that now or no?
Well, yeah, I think considering I had the back and forth with Will Hill, we might as well. If there is one area where I want to bet on Janai Broom, it's the rebounds coming up in this one. Like, yes. I understand the concerns about the elbow and his health. I think, and we kind of discussed this earlier in a commercial break, I think the shooting is where that'll be more of an issue for him than the rebounds. And I said it jokingly to Will Hill, but he really was catching rebounds with one arm against Michigan State at the end of the game. Like, he wasn't afraid of it. Now he's had this whole week to rest. He did get back out at practice. He said he's 100%. He's had 11 plus rebounds in every game of the tournament so far. And even just like going through here, thinking about the tempo of the game, it's going to be faster paced. I think that means more shot volume, which then means a better opportunity for more rebounds for a guy like Broome. And you can get over 10.5 rebounds for even money. I just think this is kind of a discounted number because of the hesitation from the markets with his health, but he's telling everybody he's 100%. And whether he is truly 100% or not, in the Final Four and the first opportunity to take your team to win a national championship, he's going to give his all. He's going to go all out. So I'm not particularly afraid of it.
This is one of my favorite plays, and I'm glad that this is going to be something else that you'll talk again about in like 40 minutes. With that being said, here's how this doesn't happen, right? Because you have to play both sides. Here's how this doesn't happen. He gets hurt right away and doesn't play. And I don't think that's going to happen. I think in watching him play against Michigan State and having his Willis Reed moment and coming back out on the floor, if he has to play with one arm, he will play with one arm. He will rebound with one arm. And I think he will be perfectly fine to get this number. Everything else, points would scare me. Assists would scare me. Steals might scare me if that's something you could play. Rebounds, play it. Let's go. I'm with you, Stormy.
Let's go. Team play. And one arm or two, you can use sharpplays.com anytime, any place. Since 2011, they've been building trusted relationships with major sports books and sports insiders worldwide. They've got daily updates on what top professional sports bettors and betting groups are wagering on. And that's not all. They just launched a cutting-edge AI betting analyst that gives you more selections and reports, giving you the edge you need. Head over to sharpplays.com and get access to some of the best betting insights. And see, I'm not great with transitions, but it's true. Like, you can go to sharpplays.com with one hand, just like Janai Broome might need to. So it's for the people. On that note, we're going to take a quick timeout. RIP my career after that one. Mike Palm is going to join us in studio. That was the best
transition ever.
Here at Circa next. We'll be right back.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Happy Friday. We welcome you back here to Money Moves on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. I'm Stormy Buonantony. He's Keith Irizarry. Lots to get to as we welcome in live in studio here at Circa Resort and Casino, Mike Palm, VP of Operations here, of course, VSiN host. And so you've got a million things going on all the time. We were talking so much about the Final Four and the betting handle and what a big deal that's going to be. But you also are very invested in the women's side as well. Mm-hmm. And how excited are you for tonight that we're going to find out who's going to be in the title tilt after these games?
Everybody's talking about the 4-1 seeds on the men's side. But, you know, it's also the top four teams from the last women's poll. UConn was third, and they gave them a 2 seed. And USC was fifth, and they got the last 1 seed. So I think it's been an amazing women's tournament so far. I have a $2,000 ticket on UConn at 4-1. Now they're in minus 190 favorite. I mean, still a little strong. I mean, Juju gets hurt and they're 14.5 against USC. I made him 2.5. Was she worth 12? Well, they fouled down 9 with 8 seconds left, and they're not. And then it's just walked the ball up for a push. If you had 14, if you got it late, 14.5. This opened 9 against UCLA, who I think is the second best team in the tournament. I got the 9 right away. It's down to 7.5. So I have a nice middle there. I love, UConn win by 1-8, just like you had with your Ole Miss at Michigan State ticket, that it fell perfectly there. So,
which pure luck, by the way, on that one. Still, I can't believe
you hit a shot.
Happened.
I mean, you hit a shot. They were in the game the whole way.
Yeah, but that shot in particular did not look like it should have gone in, but I'll take it.
That's the nightcap, UConn and UCLA. Yeah. How about the first game? I researched this. I can't find it. If somebody can find it, I think it's the first time 2 programs have met 4 times in a year. Yeah. Between Texas and South Carolina. They met in January in Columbia. South Carolina won by 17. February in Austin, and the Longhorns won by 4. Then on a neutral in Nashville in March, in South Carolina as a 4-point favorite, won by 19, and now they're 5.5. But it's Emily in April, so maybe it's a different story. I don't think Big Schrader's going to have a game plan. I think Dawn Staley will march on, and I think there's going to be a tremendous matchup for ESPN to have South Carolina and UConn.
Yeah, be great.
Gino hasn't won in almost a decade. South Carolina's going for 3 out of 4. The women's ratings is second highest of all time compared to last year. The right for women's college basketball doubled between 23 and 24 with the Caitlin Clark senior year, and it has not fallen off this year. We'll end up, when this tournament's over for the entire season, about 3 or 4% higher in women's rights. So that's a very good sign.
Mike, how are you? So from a betting standpoint, though, are you seeing that people are in on betting on the women's side of things?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously it doesn't compare to the men's side of things. And for the course of a whole season, we won't write, we're going to write a little less than 2.5 million over the course of a whole season. But when you get to the tournament and really when you get to the Sweet 16 and beyond, you're still seeing mid 5 figures on these games. And we'll probably push 6 figures on the championship game if that's the matchup we get. And the 2 games tonight will probably be in the 60, 75,000 in handle range. There's people betting on this. It's a little bit like the WNBA in that you get more sharp percentage because you don't have as many casual fans. Mm-hmm. But I think there's compelling storylines, and we had great players like Paige and Juju. And so that's kept the interest in the women's game going.
Yeah, I'm jealous. I like the position that you're in with UConn.
It's incredible how they go from, they were the 5th choice when I made that bet, to now being the presumptive favorite and being double-digit favorites in all these games.
Well, and again, with the seeding situation, I made the comment earlier this week. You have 3 one seeds, and then the 2 seed is, only the most prolific women's basketball program in history, looking back with what they've been able to accomplish there.
16 out of 17 Final Fours for him now.
It's wild. Let's go to the men's tournament here.
Okay.
How are you seeing this get played at Circa specifically? Like, let's go to the Duke-Houston game first, because I feel like the public is largely going to jump in here and say, well, Duke has been dominant. Let's do it. But I know a lot of folks also think Houston's defense has the potential to maybe drag Duke in a little bit. Do you see that?
Yeah, this is a pro Joe game with the public all over Duke, and most of the pros on the side of Houston with the points, some even on the money line with Houston. Although if you think Houston's going to win, you're probably going to bet them to win the tournament at this point and beat whoever they would come up against on Monday. I think it's a fascinating matchup. I haven't seen a team get shots in rhythm in their half-court offense against Houston all year. They just take you out of their game. And we'll see how Duke can counter that, and can Duke speed up the game and play it at a high pace. If Houston can grind this down, this is the most shooting depth Sampson has had with these teams, right? He's got 3 guys that can shoot from beyond the arc. And I actually think after Cooper Flagg, the next 3 best offensive players are on the Cougars side of the ball. So I took 5.5 with Houston. It's interesting. This varies around town. You can find 4.5. You can find 5.5 on this game, depending on which side you like.
When you look at the Houston-Duke game, though, do you find any edges with any of the players in this one, meaning like player props? Is that something that we could dive into? I
don't get big. I'm not big into that, Keith. I don't really, and I'm more so baseball than in any other sport. I really don't get into props that much. I think you can look at people outside of Cooper Flagg on the Duke side of the ball and perhaps look at under on their points. Size might be the only concern if Duke can be, if Duke can dominate the offensive glass, because they're going to miss shots against Houston. Can Houston get those boards? So maybe you're looking at some rebounding props on the Duke side, depending on what you feel the game script is going to be.
Florida, Auburn.
Stormy, let me just jump in. Stormy, let me just jump in here really quick before we move on from Houston Duke. I think Tyrese Proctor is someone that you can look at on his points prop. Again, certain states allow it and certain don't, so you make sure you check that out. And then I would also look at Cooper Flagg assist number as well, because I think Houston defense is going to be so focused on stopping him from scoring, he may end up getting a bunch of helpers. There you go. Stormy, you can move on to the next game. Sorry, I just wanted to sneak that in.
No, I think it's going to be a fun game. Quite frankly, I think both games are going to be really good. The shorter of the 2 spreads, though, is Florida-Auburn, where this is another game where I feel like we haven't seen any movement on the line.
But I think if it goes to 3, they're going to gobble up the 3.
Yeah.
And it won't stay there very long. That's just my feeling on the game.
Do you have a lean one way or the other?
Well, I really thought that this was going to be Florida's tournament. They were the most complete team. They were playing the best. They've been very sloppy in this event. Connecticut had every right to beat them on that Sunday in the second round. And look, Texas A&M had them beat, or Texas Tech had them beat, which we really, really needed from the book perspective. I mean, we're getting clobbered every day in this tournament because of all the favorites. And it's just all money line power. It's every sport, though. If you don't have some favorites lose, the book can't win. It doesn't matter point totals. It doesn't matter props. It doesn't matter in game. It's always about, can the favorites win? So I don't think they're playing the best right now. there's a lot of distractions to this program with the coaching staff too. And the further they go, the more scrutiny there's going to be on these misconduct allegations, not just against the head coach, but an assistant that's been suspended as well. I don't know how big of a distraction that is for the kids, but my thought on Florida winning it all has changed.
Oh, I think Keith got frozen there for a moment. But so in addition to the NCAA tournament, we have another tournament that's been going on here in Vegas.
Crown.
The Crown. And you have been the belle of the ball at the Crown. Apparently, we got to throw this picture up that you sent us yesterday. So much fun. How much have you guys enjoyed your... Look at that. Look at this guy. Happiest guy in the world. Sitting on the throne next to...
It's a nice picture, isn't it? Nick Baker from AEG he says, I take great pictures. He wasn't lying.
It's a winner.
Derek was on the Crown in a suit. I said, you don't understand product placement, Derek. Look at, I've got the Circa, the logo. Look at that blue.
That's what it's all about.
I had a great time last night. Yeah. Of course, we had courtside seats. David Rossborough went the night before. He was sitting right next to the Boise players. I mean, I thought he was next in rotation when I was watching it on TV. But I had courtside seats. I sat between some Connecticut students, alumni that were there, and then this nice family from Las Vegas whose all three daughters have gone to USC. I spoke to Lon Kruger for about an hour last night between the end of the first game and really the start of the second game, just about current state of college basketball, maybe how they can improve this tournament this next year. But I had a hell of a time and got to go talk to Jim Jackson and Gus Johnson between games. They'll both be here this afternoon with our Fan Fest.
That's awesome. I was genuinely curious, though, about like the concept of the tournament. Do you think that that's here to stay? And like, if it is something they can make better, the NIL funds that these teams get at the end of things is
I think it's financially advantageous for schools to come here instead of the NIT. I think you're losing money going to the NIT. Here's what I would suggest for next year. Perhaps you make it 8 teams and you just play Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's a heck of a long week for fans to come here on Monday and then they play a championship. It's almost 2 separate groups. The group that watches your first 2 games and then the group that comes for the weekend. It's a long time to be in Las Vegas. So maybe you can condense it to a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, playing Friday morning before the ladies semifinals, playing Saturday afternoon before the men's semifinals, and then Sunday after the ladies championship. I think would be a great format.
Well, and obviously like the teams involved, they're brands that people recognize and stuff. It's been fun. Like people want to root it. And who doesn't love more basketball? We'll take more
Everybody
games.
Wants to bet on games.
Exactly.
Right?
I know we've only got 30 seconds. How's the baseball been going though? You like anything today?
I'm still
easing in.
I'm still easing in to the baseball till I try to get more of a feel of it and these new bats and all that. Interesting game with the Cubs opener today. A little maybe step up in class for both teams with the Padres and Cubs, and interesting Dodgers and Phillies this weekend. So I made a small play on the Padres today.
Okay. It's going to be a cold one, it looks like.
I faded the Twins yesterday. That was successful.
Hey.
That's the Malinsky thing, right? That's the ultimate road trip.
We got to take a time out. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
We are less than a month out from the Kentucky Derby, and with that, got some big prep races coming up this weekend. And First Bet is putting together something a little fun to tie these prep races with the Final Four, the Hoops and Horses Pick'em Challenge. You can sign up for free to play at vsin.com/hoops and horses. Make your picks for Saturday's marquee horse races, as well as the sides and totals for the basketball games. Top pickers will receive First Bet vouchers that you can use to bet upcoming races on First Bet, including the Kentucky Derby on May 3rd. So from the hardwood to the home stretch, play now. Come join us, vsin.com/hoops and horses. I will be entering as well, making some of my picks later on in the day that Bill 80 is going to have in the daily newsletter tomorrow. So vsin.com/hoops and horses should be a lot of fun. This segment as well, we welcome you back to Money Moves. Keith Irizarry, Stormy Buonantony with you. We're going to have a little bit of fun. Something unique and different we haven't done before. It is well known, though, for our audience that has watched and listened to this show for the last year, that our wonderful producer, Brian Ortega, is a massive TV and movie buff. So we typically have some segments that are a little bit television or movie based. And this one is kind of fun because there are a couple episodes of Entourage where a guest character, Bob Ryans, who's trying to sell a script, repeatedly says to people, Is that something you might be interested in? And then other guys like Ari, everybody else starts chiming in and like doing it themselves. Is that something you might be interested in? So Brian is kind of our salesman here, and he's given us a few prompts. And basically, I'm going to see if it's something that we can convince each other. Is it something that you would be interested in? And we're going to start in the NHL because our guy, Keith Irizarry, MLB Network, NHL Network, ESPN, he does 8 million things. So we're going to start in hockey. Here's what Brian's trying to sell us on. It says Alex Ovechkin is 3 goals away from breaking Wayne Gretzky's record. I think Alex Ovechkin will score goal number 895 against the Penguins at 6-1. Is that something you might be interested in, Keith?
I mean, sure, but if we're going to have some fun here, why not go with it happening tonight at 20-1 odds, right? Like, if you're going to do this, let's have some real fun. Blackhawks tonight. Chicago, not a great team. Why not get the hat trick for all the glory tonight? Is that something I could interest you in?
Is that something you would be interested in? So I already have a Chicago bet. I bet Chicago in Carolina a couple weeks ago. It's not 20-1, so maybe I could just refire for the Hattie. What I was looking at right now is to see if there was what the price was on an empty netter. I don't see the market up right now, but I know that it was an aggressive number because nobody thinks it's going to be an empty net goal. But if you were in a situation where he's firing and we know that the Blackhawks hemorrhage goals and he actually was in position for a hat trick, he would take the Hattie and the empty netter, right? Like he would do it if it were to come to that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why he wouldn't. I mean, looking ahead at the schedule, so you got the Blackhawks tonight, then on Sunday you got the Islanders. Hurricanes would be a tough team to score against on the 10th. Back-to-back games against the Blue Jackets, and that's the reason why they're the shortest odds at plus 140, because you're seeing them twice. And then the Islanders are the second shortest odds because you're seeing them twice as well. You'll play the Islanders on the 15th. That's the second to last game of the season.
When I bet this market initially, I did the Blackhawks and the Canes because my hope / expectation was that the hockey gods would have him break the record at home, and I thought there was a shot that he could maybe do it early. So the Hurricanes at plus 360, though, genuinely, I do still think that is live. The Pens at 6-1, obviously, final game of the regular season, but a fun market nonetheless. Here's prompt number 2. In a special market, Keith, you can bet which team will be the highest scoring team in the Final Four round. Duke, 6-1 to be the highest scoring team. Is that something you might be interested in? Just say no. They're playing Houston. No.
But they're so good offensively. So let's talk this out for a second, though. So let's say Duke is the number 1 rated by Ken Palm efficiency team.
Yes, historically.
On offense, and they're a top 5 team on defensive side too. If Duke were to get to 70 points against Houston, is that enough to be more than Florida or Auburn? So when you talk it out that way, the answer is no. So I'm not interested in it.
That's 100% where it is when all said and done. I think that the Florida-Auburn game is going to be higher scoring, as the odds indicate, right? 159.5 is the total in that game compared to 136.5 in Duke Houston. I feel like even if Duke's offense is able to take advantage of Houston on defense, taking advantage and still saying 70 points is that framework and range that we're looking at here. I just don't think that it's going to happen. I know they're averaging 91.8 points per game in the tournament, but those defenses are not like that of the Houston Cougars. So that's a no for me, dog. But you can get Florida at plus 105 or Auburn at plus 145. I think either one of those would make sense depending on who you're backing to win that game. Dog? Just saying. See, I'm not. I don't have the young person slang, but I still have my '90s, early 2000s. Okay, so I'm gonna roll with it.
She's like, word up. I don't like that one.
Home skillet biscuit can't get on board. Prompt number 3 from wonderful salesman producer Brian. The Marlins and Braves facing off today. Marlins have averaged 4 runs per game. Braves averaging 2 runs per game. Would you take the alt run total under 7 at plus 118? Could that be something you might be interested in?
No, I'm not interested in this. I'm sorry. Like, So I've seen too much of the Atlanta Braves over the last couple of seasons to think that they're not going to at some point bust out. If you told me that Austin Riley will be batting 111 at the end of the year, you're crazy. But that's what he's batting right now. 3 for 27, 11 strikeouts over 7 games. And how about Michael Harris? 4 for 25, 8 strikeouts, first 7 games. No, this to me feels like, and listen, Max Meyer seems like a nice young pitcher, top 100 prospect going for the Marlins. I think Atlanta scores today, so yeah. I'm not interested in the under here at all. I would actually prompt back at producer salesman Brian Ortega and ask him if there was a better value on an over that we could find.
We're going to have to do some commercial break research. What I will say, though, is the Braves have been done no favors with how they had to start the season. A 4-game road trip to the Padres and then 3 in LA against the Dodgers. That's a rough road. 0-7. They are hating life because of the way that last game of the 3-game set with LA ended. This is a get-right series for the Marlins in my brain. And I think that the Braves do get the trains back on the track here. Hopefully, ideally, before you get some of your injured guys back so that they have something to play for early in the season. But I still like the Braves. I'm not giving up on them just because of the start against 2 really good teams. Sticking with baseball, Rafi Devers finally broke his hitless streak. And after breaking through, do you think he can push it forward one more and go yard plus 425 to hat the long ball today? Is that something you might be interested in?
Plus 425 would be a reason why you'd start thinking about it, right? So you look at his numbers in his career against Eric Fetty, and probably only gets 2 at-bats against him because I don't think Fetty goes that long in this game, but 2 for 2, 2 singles against him. Back-to-back games in which he's had hits, 3 for 8 during that stretch, 2 runs scored. I would find a different market for him on this one. I would go with a total base prop. I would look at the hits, runs, RBIs. I would look at a run scored. I would look at a few things before I would, hammer home a home run prop. What a plus 425. I've had a good last couple of days. Probably, yeah. I could probably get interested in it.
Did you see the double he had on Wednesday? Old boy looked gassed. Gassed running to second.
I get the feeling that he was frustrated with the Bregman thing and
yeah.
didn't train maybe the way that he normally does in the off season.
We're not at peak performance yet. Listen, we're not gonna go full Luka Doncic on him, but where we're going with this one. We got one more.
Which is why if you can find a home run market for him, take the over on his home run market. Like if I think it was at 30.5, I'd probably take the over.
Okay. Last one here. Over the last 17 NCAA tournaments, only 8 have seen those final 4 games decided by double digits. Can you say, oh man, I'm mucking this whole thing up. 8 of them have been decided by double digits. You can take an alt spread parlay with Auburn and Houston, both at +9 for even money. Is that something you might be interested in?
Yeah, it is. I think Florida and Duke win, but I don't think either of them blow out their opponents. So, sure. Yeah.
Bingo, bango, bongo, brother. Yes, I'm with you. I like this one a lot. I think that that's a very fun way to play it. There are people already that think 5.5 is too much for Houston, and in an Auburn-Florida game with a spread at 2.5 that we think is going to be tightly contested. Why not? I think that's something that I might be interested in. It is. This is fun. I like this concept. This is a good idea.
I'm just a chill guy.
Plus, you're just a chill guy. Plus,
the
that
young
salsa
kids out there are going to get that one.
We see, and that one I don't get. That's another young person thing?
It is. It's a meme. Yeah, it's a pretty big one that old people are not supposed to say. Like every young person right now is like, oh, I can't believe he said that. Yeah,
remember when our parents thought we were weird for saying something is cool? Like, is that where we're at now with these children?
Yes.
The times they are changing.
Sorry.
Best bets coming up next.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
We're wrapping up This Friday edition of Money Moves coming at you from coast to coast. I'm Stormy Buonantony, live in downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. Keith Irizarry holding it down on the East Coast. New background today. Don't be scared. It's not the New York skyline anymore, but we do have a cool color. What I want to talk to you about here real quickly, because last segment we were doing the Is This Something You Might Be Interested In segment, and we were talking about Alex Ovechkin, whether or not he could hit the Hattie tonight and break the record against the prompt was against the Penguins in the regular season finale. But we went rogue, of course, and we're talking about their matchup with the Blackhawks today, where Ovechkin now for an anytime goal scorer, I don't know what you're seeing on your screen, but I see minus 135 for him to score a goal today against the Blackhawks, which is juiced a lot more than what we are used to seeing with Alex Ovechkin. Do you think he gets one or more tonight against the Blackhawks?
Yeah, I think he's going to score tonight. So I think that, but the problem is you got to figure out how to get the best bang for your buck, right? So minus 135 on DraftKings. FanDuel has it at minus 145. So obviously we always remind you guys, shop your books and make sure you get the best number. The first goal scorer, if it's Ovi, and DraftKings has the best numbers right now, so we're going to roll with them at 7-1. And then you brought up last goal scorer, so I quickly looked at that, and that's plus 650 for Ovechkin to be the last goal scorer. And then now let's double back to the last segment that we had. So it was 20-1 for him to break it against Chicago. It has now shifted. It's now 19-1 for him to get a hat trick tonight. So those are all the goal things. But you know I love correlations here. So if you believe that he's going to get 1, 2, 3 goals tonight, you got to look at the shots on goal market as well. So very smart, the books, they always are. The over-under is 3.5. Minus 162, Stormy. No thank you for the over. I have no desire to play a minus 162. So what are we going to do? If you go to 4+, it's minus 155. Still too juicy. So in order to get to the plus money, you have to get Ovechkin 5 or more shots at plus 135. If you think he's scoring 3 goals tonight, then do them both. You play the goal scorer to get the 3, 19-1. You play Ovi to get 5 shots at plus 135. And now I want to see if I can parlay that together. Can I do that? Let's see. Can I parlay that together? No, you cannot parlay.
I gotta say, I enjoyed this. I enjoyed this prop a lot more when we were getting minus 115 on over 3.5, minus 1 out to maybe as high as minus 125 at over 3.5 shots on goal. That has obviously changed at this point. But in terms of the shots on goal that he's had lately, like I get conceptually, he's firing. If we want the fun, we want the big plus money payout, then go for it all. But he hasn't had 5+ shots on goal since the 22nd against Florida, where he had 6. And that was really the only time since March 9th. So shots on goal, I understand conceptually, and maybe that does happen against the Blackhawks, but I don't want to bet a number that is over 4.5 for a shots on goal. That's just me. That said, let's get into some of our best bets today, presented by GBank, the official bank of VSiN. And remember, folks, GBank is upping the ante with a $750 bonus for new GBank Visa signature cards. New customers who spend $1,000 on eligible purchases 90 days from account opening are going to get a $250 bonus. And in addition, if you spend $50,000 on gaming and sports app loads in 30 days of account opening, you get another $500. So potentially up to $750 in bonuses. Apply now at vsin.com/GBank. That's VSIN.com/GBank. Subject to credit approval. Terms and conditions do apply. And okay, I've got a few bets today. We're trying to reconnect back with Keith, and I know he has a handful as well, but I'm going to start in Major League Baseball. And I want y'all to bear with me because we know I am dabbling. We know that I am just working my way back into the sport, easing in. We were talking about that with Mike Palm as well, just kind of easing into the start of the season. And I'm going to start with the Yankees on the run line today against the Pirates. And this thing continues to get bet up. I bet plus 110 this morning. We're out to minus 118 for the Yankees run line. Minus 110 for the Yankees run line against the Pirates right now. Just trusting the better overall team. Mitch Keller, we talked about this earlier, did look good in his first start, but it was also against the Marlins. And in this bullpen that they've got isn't any good. Bottom 10 in bullpen ERA early, taking on a Yankees lineup where the torpedo bats are torpedoing and they're making all of the headlines. Most home runs in the league so far. Max Fried facing an easier lineup. So I'm going with the Yankees on the run line, as well as the Red Sox and Cardinals over 9 today. Eric Freddie finding his debut. Walker Buehler didn't have a great first start. I just lean over here. The Cardinals bats are going. Been a good team to bet the over on to start the season. 5-1 to the over. Third in slugging behind those Yankees I was just talking about and the Phillies. Okay, Keith, we've got you back. I know you've got a handful of baseball bets as well. Let's hear it. You're locked and loaded.
By the way, you love Ivan Herrera, right? And his 3 home runs the other day. The first St. Louis catcher to ever do that. And the first player for the Cardinals to do that since Paul Goldschmidt did it as well. All right, so let me give you a few baseball. These wouldn't be on my best bet list, but these are the plays I really like a lot. We'll go Dodgers, Phillies. Tommy Edman very sneakily putting up a monster season while Shohei Ohtani gets all the bright lights, and he deserves it. And Mookie Betts has been great. And you've got all these guys making these, boatloads of money. Tommy Edman, we're going to go over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs at -120. He has done this in every game this season. He has solid numbers against Jesus Luzardo as well, a double and a home run. Tommy Edman is the forgotten man in that batting order. Let's go Guardians and the Angels. Jose Ramirez, I just can't quit him, is what I would say. Over 1.5 total bases at +125. He's done this in 2 of his last 3 after a tough start. Career versus Soriano, 2 for 7 with a home run. And his slugging percentage at Angel Stadium is something I caught my eye. .637 has 9 home runs in 25 career games at Angel Stadium. Only Julio Rodriguez and Alex Rodriguez and Juan Gonzalez are players with a higher slugging percentage playing in California at Angel Stadium. So give me Jose Ramirez.
Okay, let's get to the NCAA tournament. I've got a couple, at least for me, men's and women's. South Carolina team total over 64.5 points today against Texas. We talked about this with Mike Palm. This will be the 4th meeting between these 2 teams. And I think that the market perception scoring wise dramatically shifted from the first meeting earlier this season in January to what we have now. The total in that first game, Keith, was 145.5. Then it was 135.5, then 133.5. All 3 of those meetings went under, but it was largely because Texas averaged 53.7 points per game. That paired with the low scoring games both of these teams had in their respective Elite Eights. Texas beat TCU 58-47. South Carolina beat Duke 54-50. The game total tonight is 124.5, and I'm avoiding the game total, but believing we have a buy low spot on South Carolina's points specifically at that 64.5. This is the lowest team total we have seen on the Gamecocks all season long. They scored 67, 64, and 62 in those previous meetings with Texas. The 62-point game was the one that was on the road. They average more than 80 points per game this season. The bench is deep. I think Don Staley's crew gets us over that number and advances to the title tilt. And we mentioned it earlier, Janai Broom in the men's tournament, over 10.5 rebounds at even money. He's had 11 plus boards in all 4 NCAA tournament games, gone over in 5 of his 6 postseason games overall, had 11 in the first meeting with Florida earlier this year in just 30 minutes of play. Even if he's only got one arm, I think he's going to reel in over the 10.5. Fast tempo game, more shots, more boards. Give me Janai Broom over 10.5. Okay, go.
Fast tempo. Let me sneak in my plays as well. So we'll go back to the diamond. Cody Bellinger. We're going to go over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs for him, -130. Little sprinkle and a home run at 6-1 odds as well. He's topped the hits, runs, RBIs in 3 of the 6 games this season. Good numbers against Keller in his career. 5 for 13 with the stick and 4 doubles. Over to the NBA, more plays for you. We had the Denny Avdija play from the Blazers. We go Kobe White now for the Bulls, over 24.5 points at -108. He's topped this in 6 of his last 7 games. And the Blazers, middle of the pack kind of defensively and allowed points per game. And the bottom third in field goal percentage against. And I'll sneak one more in for all you old fans out there. Chris Paul is still rocking over 14.5 points and assists at -120. He's topped this in back-to-back games. And when he plays lots of minutes, he tops this. He has not missed a single game this year. Yeah, there's one for all the old men out there.
You know what? I think we needed that, Keith, especially after all of the young people slang talk that we've had today. And clearly that's not it for us. So yeah, give the old man some props, some love, and he would understand my 90s and early 2000 references. Again, best bets today, presented by G-Bank, the official bank of VSiN. You were going to say something. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was just going to sneak one in. I'm going to make both you and I feel old. By the way, Chris Paul's son is one of the top
don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it
in America.
Come on.
Yeah.
Why you got to do me like that?
He's a top 8th grader. Yeah. Rajon Rondo's kid is a top 7th grader.
You know, it's funny. At 32 years old, I don't think of myself as old, and then I hear things like that, and then I hear young people talk, and then you know, it's a daily struggle, Keith. But we will forge on. Fun show as always with you, buddy. I appreciate it. Enjoy your weekend.
You too.
For Keith Irizarry and our producer Brian Ortega, I'm Stormy Buonantony. We're done for today, but keep it locked right here. Prop Points is coming up next. We'll also have Adam Shine and Make It Rain, the Follow the Money crew. Full loaded slate today, getting you set for all of the day's action. Have a good one.